Define object.
An object is a thing which can be felt, touched or seen by eyes.
Define point object.
Point object, an object is referred to as the point object if it covers more distances as compared to dimensions.
Define motion.
Any object is said to be motion if it changes position with respect to surroundings.
Give any 4 example of motion.
Moving vehicle on a road, flying birds in sky, rocket moving in a free space, and the earth rotation around the sun.
Give any 2 example of rest.
Trees and poles, furniture are in rest.
Okay, define reference point.
Reference point, the point which is used to describe the position of the object is known as reference point.
How rest and motion are relative to each other.
Rest and motion are relative to each other because of the following example. If we place a ball on a table, it is on the rest, but if we see from earth, the earth is moving along with the ball, so reference point is very important to make sure that whether an object is in motion or rest.
Okay. Define physical quantities.
Physical quantities are the quantities from which the other quantities are derived.
Okay. Define scalar quantity.
Scalar quantity is a quantity that has only magnitude.
Define vector quantity.
Vector quantities are the quantity that has both direction and magnitude.
Give any 5 example of scalar quantity.
Mass, length, time, temperature.
Give any 4 example of vector quantity.
Weight, displacement, velocity and acceleration.
Okay. How vector quantity is represented?
It is represented by an arrow.
Okay. What arrow indicates?
The head of the arrow indicates the direction of the vector quantity.
Okay. And the length?
The length represents the magnitude.
Okay. What do you mean by distance?
Distance is the actual path in which a body travels.
Irrespective of its direction.
Yes.
Okay. Define displacement.
Displacement is defined as the shorter distance between the 2 points, mainly initial point and final point.
Okay. What is means by positive, negative or zero displacement?
Positive displacement is a displacement or d in which the initial and final velocity, namely x1 and x2, in positive displacement x2 is bigger than x1, and in negative displacement x1 is greater than x2, and in zero displacement x1 and x2 both are equal.
Yes, because we know that displacement is noted by d, and d is equal to x2 minus x1. Whenever x2 is greater than x1, there is a positive displacement. Whenever x2 less than x1, there is a negative displacement, and when they both are equal, there is a zero displacement. Okay. Okay. Give any 5 difference between distance and displacement.
Distance is the shorter distance is the actual length of the path, whereas the displacement is the shorter distance between 2 points. Both SI units are same. The distance never decreases with the time, whereas displacement can decrease with time. The distance cannot be distance can be negative or zero. Can be negative or zero, where displacement can be positive, negative or zero.
Distance can never be negative or zero. Okay. Define locomotion.
The motion in animals is known as locomotion.
Define mechanics.
Mechanics is the branch of physics that deals with the bodies in motion.
Define static.
Statics is a kind of mechanics which usually derives from the mechanics in objects that are in rest.
Yes. Define dynamics.
Dynamics is the branch of physics that deals with the objects in motion.
Define speed.
Speed is a fast or slow motion through which we can see that how a motion is fast or slow.
What is the unit of speed?
The SI unit of speed is meter per second.
Okay. What is the formula of speed?
Distance upon time.
Define uniform speed.
An object is said to be in uniform speed if it covers equal distances in equal intervals of time.
What is the example of uniform speed?
a car covers 10 km per hour in 1 second. 10 meter per second in 1 second. In 1 second.
Or we can say that it can travel, suppose it can travel 2 km in 2 minutes, next 2 km in 2 minutes, and again next 2 km in 2 minutes. Okay. What do you mean by non-uniform speed, and give its example?
A body is said to be non-uniform speed if it covers unequal distances in equal intervals of time. For example, a bus moving in a crowded street has a non-uniform speed.
Okay. Define velocity.
Velocity is a ratio between the displacement over time taken to do it so.
Okay. Whenever the velocity is zero.
The velocity of a body is zero if it is either at rest or it is in a uniform velocity.
Okay. What is the difference between, give any 5 difference between speed and velocity?
Speed is a scalar unit, whereas speed is a scalar quantity, whereas velocity is a vector quantity. Speed is always positive, whereas velocity can be positive, negative, or equal. Both speed and velocity have meter per second,
Same
same
units.
unit, and speed is a unique path traveled by a body, and velocity is not a unique path covered by a body. And speed is a fast motion or slow motion of a body, whereas a velocity is a sudden change in the direction of a body which is in motion.
Okay. Define acceleration.
It can be defined as the change in velocity over time taken.
Okay. What is the formula of acceleration in terms of velocity?
V is equal to
Acceleration in terms of velocity. A is equal to
V minus U.
yes, V
upon
minus
T.
U upon T. Okay. What do you mean by positive acceleration?
Positive, an object is said to be in positive acceleration if the final velocity of a moving body is greater than the initial velocity.
Give example.
A ball thrown towards the earth.
Yes. What do you mean by negative acceleration, and give example?
Negative acceleration is an acceleration in which the final velocity is lesser than the initial velocity, and for example a body or a object thrown against the earth.